Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, okay, guys. So I have to say it. It has been a while since I've been, pretty much a week since I've done it. Now, the only reason why I am doing a stream right now is because I'm able to do a stream right now, and now you guys have to wait till Thursday. And for today, it's just it's just a little bit weird, just because of I have to do a lot of catch up. So technically, Thursday we'll probably be doing catch up, maybe from a little bit of today, and then the rest would technically be be all the future news that is happening today, tomorrow, etc., etc. But this is going to be mostly a catch up day because nobody else knows what's really going on. But some of it is more present. Some of it will be more present for today. So that's all good and dandy. So we'll get directly into it. Now, what we have here, as you can see, is Trump is pretty much looking for a movement of peace, beginning with energy and infrastructure from the ceasefire with Putin. So, for what we have, there's a bit of mixed bags here. ABC has said that that Putin has agreed to temporary ceasefire. So negotiations are going okay, it looks like, or at least good. So that's what we have here. And there's a lot more crazy stuff happening, like, Snow White really collapsing under the collapsing, and Disney having to put a trigger warning because, well, that's been going on. We have a no surprise of a Republican, no, not Republican, but there was a Republican that did do that. I'm not talking about. I'll talk about that tomorrow. But that a Democrat influencer, doing a little bit of explicit stuff, some pretty dangerous stuff. So we'll be going into that. And then we have Trump removing all the pardons that Biden put on the January 6th committee, etc. Because that's a thing that's been going on here. So we'll be doing that. And then we have here with a bit of the FBI investigating some squatters. And then we have judge, demanding Trump to turn around the plane because things of that nature, which is quite stupid. And then I'll be telling you the levels of judicial branch and stuff like that that's been going on. So a lot of interesting stuff today. So without further ado, my friends, finally getting into this, let's go. So we have this here. President Donald Trump held a phone call with his Russian counterpart on Tuesday that lasted around an hour and a half, during which Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the need to end the war between Russia and Ukraine, as well as the need for strengthened relations between the U.S. and Russia. So, of course, it goes on to say, with the White House press secretary saying, Karen Levitt, saying, today, President Trump and President Putin spoke about the need for peace and a ceasefire in the Ukraine war. Both leaders agreed this conflict needs to end with a lasting peace. They also stressed the need for improved bilateral relations between the United States and Russia. The blood and treasure that both Ukraine and Russia have been spending in this war would be better spent on the needs of their people. This conflict should never have started and should have ended long ago with sincere and good faith peace efforts. So, that is what's been going on as of recent. Now, granted, guys, some of this stuff is going to be 2 days, 3 days behind, but you get the gist. This is just a day behind. This just happened yesterday over the weekend. It says the leaders agreed that the movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire, as well as a technical negotiation on implementation of a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea, full ceasefire and permanent peace. These negotiations will begin immediately in the Middle East. The speakers spoke broadly about the Middle East as a region of potential cooperation to prevent future conflicts. Levitt continued. They further discussed the need to stop proliferation of strategic weapons and will engage with others to ensure the broadest possible application. The two leaders shared the view that Iran should never be in a position to destroy Israel. The two leaders agreed that a future with an improved bilateral relationship between the United States and Russia has huge upside. This includes enormous economic deals and geopolitical stability when peace has been achieved. Continues to go on here. It says a Russian source with knowledge of the call told CNN after the conclusion of the talks that went very well, while White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino said earlier in the call that the talks were going well. So, as what we have here, this is good, right? It says in the wake of the call, the Financial Times reported that Putin has ordered Russia's military to not attack Ukrainian energy infrastructure for 30 days. So, this is good. Now, this actually really, really hurts Zelensky, right? because Zelensky this entire time was pretty much just saying, well, we're not going to offer up peace. We're not going to do this or that. And that really, really hurt Zelensky in this regard. And it seems like Putin was willing to do some type of peace treaty or what have you if they just talked to him about it. But of course, as we've done on this channel a few times now, Zelensky has never really wanted true peace. The European Union did not really want peace. They wanted to continue doing the war alongside NATO, and they wanted the immense backing from the U.S. to support that war, which the U.S. said, no, we're not doing that here. We are just going to move somewhere else. So that is really good, and this hurts Zelensky in a lot of ways. Now, what Zelensky said, I'm not quite sure. I still need to do a bit more work on that, but I just want you guys to get the know-how of what's been going on here. So, without further ado, we're going to go with this, all right? So, we have this here with Tribune. Now, this is interesting, right? Now, if we take this to another side here, there was a Republican that was been outed as, doing some explicit stuff with minors, all right? So, there was a Republican that did do this. However, it's a lot more critical with the Democratic people because the Democrats have been saying, oh, well, don't do that. Making these advances towards women, etc. is a problem or what have you. And, it kind of makes them a bit of a hypocrite, right? So, it's a lot of information here, and this might actually be the longest segment part of this stream, because there's a lot to go through. I don't know if I'm going to be going through all of it, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's a lot, and you guys will get the gist anyways. But yeah, it ain't great. It says, Republican activist Sarah Fields accuses Democratic influencer Harry Sisson in Snapchat scandal involving explicit photos. Interesting. So, yeah, it is not looking too great here, right? And now we are going to go directly to Sarah Fields and, kind of see what she has to say about this, right? Because Harry Sisson is a very stupid Democratic influencer. All of them are stupid. And this is kind of showing that all these people are kind of a bit of a scumbags, bit of terrible people. So, yeah. So what she has to say here is that Harry Sisson convinced 11 different women that he had no roster and respected them for more than their bodies while persuading them to send explicit photos of themselves through Snapchat, including one for domestic abuse survivor. When the women discovered each other one by one, he called them all insane and attempted to coerce one of them into telling the public that the photos were fake. A request to the reader set political differences to the side. I believe both sides of the aisle can agree that this is unacceptable behavior from a man-child with collecting over 2 million followers. Thread here. Now, there's going to be some things in here, guys, that I'm probably going to side with, obviously, probably with Harry Sisson, and there's going to be other parts where I'm going to be just completely not agreeing with him at all. Now, I understand a lot of people on the right or what have you are saying, okay, this is not a big deal or whatever. Yes, it may not be a big deal in the seams of normal people that are not advocating for, or essentially it's not a male feminist, right? Because male feminists are technically the worst kind of things known to man. Because male feminists here, all they do is just try to get into women's pants and try to claim that they're the good guy and want to be with you. But instead, they're probably one of the worst people around. But again, it's different for Harry Sisson here because he's been advocating for, oh, we're good people, we're all amazing and stuff like that, right? And of course, it doesn't turn out to be like that. So, this is a girl here with stuff like this. This is all public, so it's not like I am exposing anything here. This is all out in the open. They posted this, they exposed it, so it's not like I'm going to do anything terrible here, right? So, it says, we have Harry Sisson here say, damn, you're sexy. And, she's just replying, and then this person says, I F you raw after wine tasting, but that's just me. That's, yeah, well, that's not a court of action that I would actually, use here. But, what do I know, right? So, again, we have this here. It says, several of the women involved have made their stances public, but the videos are not receiving much traction. While Harry Sisson continues to collect millions of views for his videos, claiming that he's a supporter of women and a champion for women's rights. Yeah, see, that's kind of the thing here. A lot of these male feminists are saying they're champions of women, as I've been saying before, but in all reality, they're kind of the worst people imaginable. So what does this woman has to say here?
I've been trying to figure out how I want to word a video regarding this. But I think what I'm going to just say is I've never been the woman that has called out behavior like this. I've never been one of these people. And if you have been, fucking props to you. Because I don't think anybody could comprehend how genuinely terrifying it is to do something like this. Yeah. I really, send me how you stop having fucking heart palpitations.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I'm gonna go through a little bit of this, guys, and then I'm gonna give you my take, my opinion on this. This may trigger some of the women in my chat, may not. So I would assume some of the women that are that are subscribed to me are probably a bit more toughened, a bit more hardened than a lot of these other far leftists or crazy women. But if you are a Democratic woman, welcome. Hi, nice to know you. This is a probably a channel that you may find different. But if you English here, if you subscribe to me, then you probably don't care about all that. So, without further ado, let's go into this. So, again, Sarah Fields says Carter, one of Harry's victims, has described the situation in the most detail. Summary of her videos. According to Carly, Harry wooed her from the very beginning and convinced her that he suspected her for more than physical appearance. She said even though she's embarrassed to admit it, she created a private chat to chat with Harry that was meant for his eyes only, where she shared explicit photos of herself with him. He loved it. He loved that I was not entertaining anyone else the way I was entertaining him. Harry told her that she was a wifey material and was sold on her wife applications. After 6 months of this behavior, he told her he didn't want a commitment. She accused of him leading her on, to which he admitted doing, but also said he should have made his intentions clear. Directly after this, Harry posted a photo of a thirst trap of him and his new girlfriend on TikTok. The video shows him lying in bed with a girl while he proactively swipes her hand across his face. Yeah, I actually know of an individual, it's a relative of mine, that actually did do this. Where he would brag about, kind of like, oh, I just had some fun time with my girlfriend here. Let's be honest, nobody wants to know this. Nobody cares about that stuff. If you want to do that, fine. Whatever happens in your bedroom or in your house, by all means, go crazy. Go complete ape. But don't let that be known to everybody else, all right? Especially if I ever have a female friend here or a girlfriend, if you will. The last thing you guys are going to know is anything about her unless she actually wants to come onto my channel and speak or whatever. But I'm not going to thrust her into the community to where you guys are and force her to be on something that she probably doesn't want to be. You have to respect some people's privacy here. And obviously, this guy quite doesn't do that. Prior to the first trap, Cardi watched Harry go live and observed hickeys on his neck from a different girl. She confronted Harry and he told her she was overreacting. Cardi had recently been through a traumatic car accident and was dealing with depression at the time. Cardi said that Harry pounced and took advantage of her sadness. Cardi decided to go live on TikTok to share her story, and this is when she discovered that during the 9 months that she was talking to Harry, Harry was leading multiple other women on the exact same time. He told them the exact things and had convinced them to send him explicit messages through the Snapchat platform. Harry told the other women that he had no roster. All right. So I'm going to go a few things here, right? So a few things that I kind of want you guys to understand here. There are a lot of playboys out there. Ladies, careful out there. And there's a few things that you ladies probably and 100% shouldn't do. Do not put your body out there for other men or other people to see on Snapchat or what have you, all right? It's just dangerous. It's a terrible, terrible idea, especially if you are a minor of that instance. Don't do that because you have a lot of weirdos out there, all right, that will like to take advantage of you. And Harry Assistant seems to be one of those weirdos, one of those creeps. Now, let me correct this. I am not saying he is one of those PDF files, all right? I don't think he's one of those people per se. There's no evidence showing that, but it is showing him that he is, going to woman and not really caring. Yeah. So, this is kind of a big deal, right? Where we go with these ladies here and private chats are being exposed or what have you. And I am not the whole type of person on to believe on what women say entirely, all right? I'm not going to play that game. You won't ever see me play that game. I need actual full-on evidence of, of this actually happening to you before I believe on what actually happened to you. Because there's been numerous times that I know that where women will go out and well, accuse men of doing something horrible to them, and it's just a lie, and it didn't actually happen. So I'm not with this believe all women, but if there's actual evidence, then by all means, show that evidence, and I'll believe you. I don't want women to get raped, all right? But again, at the same time, we just can't be having these ladies out here accusing them. But with this, there's a lot of evidence. There seems to be kind of a bit of evidence here. And, one last thing before I go into the next topic says physical appearance. Now, everybody says, with respect to her, more than a physical appearance, which is probably should be the big thing. I mean, if you're interested in somebody and physical appearance is one of the things that gets yourself in the door, let's not kid ourselves, guys. Physical appearance gets everybody into the door. All right, let's not kid ourselves. Let's just not kid ourselves. Physical appearance is always going to be your first step into the door. Obviously, personality and everything else comes into factor afterwards. But obviously, you're going to look at somebody. Hey, that person looks pretty nice. Hey, that person looks cute. Hey, that person looks handsome, etc. The experience, the physical appearance is coming first. You're going to be more inclined on the physical appearance at first, and then everything else comes afterwards. And for me, physical appearance will get you into the door, but does not mean I'm going to be 100% interested in you. It just means your physical appearance got yourself in the door, and I was able to confront you, all right? But I'm not going to actually go after you in this regard. But nonetheless, let's go with this here, all right? Now, these are some of the receipts with this. Now, we can go talk to this girl here and see what she has to say. Some of this is 5 minutes. I am not going to do the full 5 minutes. That's insane. I will do a minute or 2 minutes at best, and then go to the next one, etc., etc.
I got played by a TikTok influencer for 9 months, and I think it's time that I expose his trashy ass behavior. We started talking in May of last year, right before my birthday, and he wooed me. He was very kind. I felt really excited and thankful that I found somebody who, at the time, I thought respected me for more than my physical appearance. And yeah, I literally could have never imagined or even fathomed what was gonna end up happening after talking for 9 months.
Yeah, so it isn't great,
Your
right?
wish is my command. I had been following this political influencer for a couple months prior to me DMing him, basically just offering my support and telling him that I was proud of what he was doing and that I was learning a lot from him. A little bit after that, I shared with him that I was a survivor of SA, and if he ever needed a victim's perspective during one of his TikTok live debates, I would be willing to share my story. He was really nice about it, was supportive, thanked me for sharing with him, and also for my willingness to speak on it if he ever needed somebody to.
Now, I will say this: if this girl was actually a victim of SA, I apologize immensely. No woman or any man, for that matter, should have to go through this type of thing whatsoever. Hopefully, that person is in jail if that actually did happen to her. And two, we should not. This is part of the reasons why that Harry says is a garbage human. Is that when somebody opens up to you and stuff like that, and just showing stuff or whatever to yourself, it's it puts a vulnerability a bit. And I'm not gonna play in the whole emotion type deal because I'm not really that emotion type of person. I don't go into the emotion detail that much. But you have to respect people, and I'm not the type of person to use others for my own personal gain. All right, and this is kind of what he's doing. He just wanted a piece of the pie. He wanted to see all the assets without actually having to do anything at all. That's pretty much what it is, and that is garbage behavior. And honestly, it's guys like this that will cause problems. They cause other problems for these ladies to where they're going to be more wary of who they speak to because they have experiences like this. All right, so we'll go with that. But we have more of Harry Sisson here. Apparently, he's in the bathtub, by the way, in the shower, just taking pictures of himself. That sounds great. Yeah, this is great. Just just weird behavior. Then he goes on to say here, I never lied to you. We were not exclusive, and I made it abundantly clear I didn't want that, and you said that was fine. I haven't done anything that wasn't allowed within the parameters we set. What and why are you screenshotting? So yeah, that is not looking too great for Mr. Harry Sisson over here. All right. Goes on to say, receipts of Harry Snaps Part 2. So I already showed this one. And then he goes on to here saying, saying you're hot, you look great. There's nothing too crazy here. Maybe this one's a bit, it says this feels pretty great. I can't lie. This is just hot. Like I said here, this is nothing too crazy here. Back shots. The verdict is you look sexy as F. Court adjourned. Etc. Okay, let's be honest here, guys. I think these are tame and compared to what a lot of people normally say, right? These are tame compared to what do we get it. But the difference is here, guys. The difference here is that he is saying that he is a supporter of women's rights, right? And abusing them, etc., etc. But again, this is not as bad as people are trying to make it out to be. But this makes Harry Sisson a hypocrite, and we're going to be going over that. Okay, so of course it says to see MIL, you see your opinion is the only one that mattered. God as fat, it looks amazing. Yeah, it couldn't agree more. Beautiful. Typical normal guy stuff. Typical either stuff like that, right? So this is not too crazy, all right? Says, quote from Carly, I'm fighting for accountability not only for myself, but on behalf of everyone who believed this guy was someone he's not. To this day, he has yet to acknowledge that he did anything wrong, and that's really sad. However, I have to say I'm beyond blessed and frankly shocked to have connected W so many amazing people over this horrible experience. Thank you for confirming that my feelings throughout those 9 months were valid. Yeah, so again, we have this here. As more women came forward, it was determined that 11 women were played by Harry. It goes on to say here, another victim of Harry, Sarah, provided a long, detailed video of her experience. I clipped it for the sake of time, but you can find her full video on the TikTok platform. Sarah's a DV survivor. She had posted about her DV experience in October of 2024 for DV Awareness Month. So, again, I'm not gonna say just because you're a DV survivor doesn't necessarily mean you're not engaging in some other stuff, right? I'm not saying you deserve to deserve to have that domestic violence on you. It doesn't mean you don't get to speak about it. But again, just because you're a DV survivor does not really clarify on actions that you do later on.
He did inform me that there was no roster, essentially implying I was the only person he was talking to, the only person he was receiving photos from, and I was, again, fine with that. But of course, if you're going to tell me that there's no roster and I'm the only person you're talking to, he...
Personally, I don't know how people can juggle 2-3 women at a time. I'm the type of person that normally this is obviously the marks of her, so obviously it seems like this. Again, this could be anything, but I'm not saying this is not true. But again, I'm not going to jungle 3 women. All right, that's just not me. I got to stay focused on just one. Call me an insane person, but that is not my go-to. If I mention somebody, nobody else is really in the limelight for my eyes. I'm just going to go into other, etc., etc. I'm not going to pick and choose here. Sarah, he having pushed to TOU and dragged you. That is not okay. Yeah. This morning he said the worst part about last night was him putting his hands on me, so I guess I'm not. You're really not overreacting at all. Do not do that so you can find the good one in him. He literally came up in front of me and grabbed grabbed my hair, like under my hair and my scalp, and threw me on the ground. See, this is all crazy stuff. Do not excuse that behavior or make it less than horrific. Yeah, that was not the same. That was not some other person that is him. I can't think about it right now, etc., etc. So, of course, yes, she texted me as text messages and stuff like that. And, all that stuff. Harry's lies. You definitely have a lot more to offer. A lot to offer, no doubt. I think right now I can't do exclusivity, not because I'm getting nudes from a bunch of girls or effing girls or stuff. I don't hook up with anyone ever, but because I just don't think I'd be able to commit 100% to something. Also, since we live in different states, exclusivity would be hard. So I'm not bouncing a bunch of girls at once. Again, this guy is just trying to get the cake and eat it too, right? He wants all the assets from these women without having to do anything at all. All right. So one of the women who is terrified which we already did this. Harry's video of this first trap. It is unclear if this new girlfriend is aware of the other woman, but after today, I'm pretty sure she will be made well aware. So yeah, a lot of these women. So yeah, this is an ongoing thing here, guys. This is an ongoing thing with Harry Sisson. Like I said, I'm not going to do all this, but he seems to be kind of a womanizer, all right. But again, these things are not too crazy, but it's hilarious because again, we have this here from Harry Sisson saying, "America failed women tonight. Trump bullied, assaulted, and stripped reproductive rights away from women all across the country, and instead of standing against it, many voted for it. We have failed our daughters, mothers, and sisters." So he's trying to show that he is he's an advocate for women. He loves women, and we care about it. Then he goes out and does this type of stuff, right? Which is the absolute opposite of that. But like I said, none of this is too extreme here, all right? This just means he's a scumbag, which is kind of fits in the Democratic mantra. No surprise there, but again, what else can we suspect from Democrats at this point? So, now, at the end of that segment, which was very long, we're going to go on to this one, which is Miss Snow White, Rachel Zegler. It doesn't seem to be going too well, guys. It doesn't seem to be going too well. They canceled the red carpet, they canceled the showing and all that great stuff in the UK, or maybe it's EU, I can't remember exactly which place, but one of those countries, and it ain't great. It's doing so bad that they're just canceling shows left and right in different countries. And it's gotten to the point to where it's gone so woke that we have Disney's woke Snow White is slapped with trigger warnings about a woman deliberately poisoned and girls surrounded by ominous trees. Ominous trees, all right. Okay, maybe deliberately poisoned you might be able to get me, by the way, but ominous trees? Are we serious here, guys? Is this real? Is this real? Seriously? Ominous trees? Why is this a trigger warning? Why is this a trigger warning? And women getting deliberately poisoned. Oh, like, because guys not getting deliberately poisoned is a bad thing, right? Because, men getting deliberately poisoned is all well and good, but women, that's a problem. Yeah. I watch enough anime to where, like, everybody's treated equal. Equal lefts and equal rights for everyone, all right? So, yeah. It's a £200 million movie that has been plagued by controversy, from replacing dwarf actors with CGI and its lead star panning the original Disney cartoon for its sexist romance plot. And now, woke Snow White has struck again, as trigger warning such as a woman is deliberately poisoned and a girl is surrounded by ominous trees have been issued for audiences. I don't know what ominous trees would be bad for. I mean, the only other way you could probably take this, and your mind has to be kind of in the gutter for this, the only other way you could actually, take this at all would be if, like, you go more of the anime route and you put on, the Gooner type deal or whatever. Happy fun time, if you will. And if anybody has known or watched anime, you kind of know what tree represents. If they, the long branches, tentacles, if you will. So, yeah, it's not too surprising what you could think there, but you have to go pretty far out there. First, you have to go to the anime route, and then you have to go to something else in order to even to consider this. So I don't know what they're doing here. I don't know what they're doing. It's pretty crazy what they're saying. Ominous trees is a problem here. The British Board of Film Classification has slapped a hefty list of disclaimers on the live-action Disney remake starring Rachel Zegler, 23, as Snow White, and Gal Gadot, 39, as the Wicked Witch. The 207 remake of the 1937 classic will debut this week, but has been beset by multiple controversies, including reimagining the Seven Dwarfs as a diverse group of magical creatures of all heights, gender, and race. Now, guys, it says 270 million, but they did multiple reshoots, all right? They did multiple reshoots. So, it's not 270 million anymore. It's probably well over 300 million, not counting the advertising. So this movie is cooked, all right? It's absolute cooked. They're not making their money back. Says less than a week before the film is released, viewers are told a couple gently kiss and are teased about being in love. A character threatens to love essentially shove something up another's backside during a comic exchange, and skeletal remains lie on the floor of a dungeon. Oh my, that's so terrifying. By the way, it says Mail Online can reveal the bizarre trigger warnings issued by the BFC. So yeah, I'm not gonna actually show you the trailer because I'm gonna spare you guys pain and misery. The new movie Mystical Wicked, adapted from the popular stage show starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, was hit with a similar level of trigger warnings, including discrimination against a green-skinned woman. I wonder why it's only women here. And persecuted talking animals. All right. Well, I guess that's an issue. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like seeing animals being abused. I'm an animal enjoyer myself. In fact, I held a very cute puppy a couple of days ago. I missed that puppy already. Too bad I couldn't take it home. The warning issued to viewers by the BFC: a green-skinned woman is mocked, bullied, and humiliated because of her skin color. Right? Okay. So this is not. I don't see how this is a issue necessarily. It's a movie. It's trying to portray something here. He told the Mail, trigger warnings are ridiculous and counterproductive at the best of times, dampening excitement, destroying creative, dramatic tension, and creating a muffled atmosphere appropriate to an HR seminar than a movie. I agree. I think that when you have trigger warnings here, you're pretty much indicating on like kind of that something bad is going to happen in the movie or TV show, etc. And I don't want that in an anime at all. Period. The reason why I want this in anything in my films or movies or games or etc. is because I want to find out on how bad it is. Now, you can set the tone of something by, like what a lot of people cry about in anime or something in anime is that there's a lot of grape scenes or high indications of grape scenes, etc. And people don't like that, but it sets the tone on how the anime or the show is going to be. Now, obviously, it doesn't have to be grape scenes. It could be, hacking of limbs, people dying, or horrible things happening to these people, etc. To set the tone of how the movie or the show is going to be or progress going forward. So again, these are not bad things. It's to kind of prepare the person almost mentally on how the show is going to play out or how the theme is going to be. Putting trigger warnings kind of removes all that. I don't like. What are you going to do? You just walk out of the movie after you see something? That just means you're very, very pathetic, in my opinion. If this is the problem with it. It says, but with this one, they've really warning comment contains dangerous aquatic threat. Jump the shark. I don't. Again, I don't know what's going on here. All right. Anybody that's in Berlin or in the UK or what have you, you guys are pathetic. You guys are really, really pathetic. You are a sad group of people. If you need trigger warnings for aquatic creatures and stuff like this, please seek help, get help. Maybe a therapist might help you because obviously aquatic shark or whatever is scaring you guys. All right? Come on. You're a very, very, very sad country. Meanwhile, Ziegler, who stars as Snow White, previously revealed she refused to sing the beloved song Someday My Prince Will Come from the 1937 classic, saying it was weird that the movie would focus on Snow White's love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah, because it's stalking. All right. Right. We didn't do that this time. I was scared of the original version. I think I watched it once and I never picked it up again. Second 2022. Yeah. And look how much that done for you, right? You have completely torched this movie. You have taken a movie that may have done well, probably wouldn't have done well in the first place, but you've taken the movie that may have been okay to torch it into the complete abyss to where it most likely belongs, and it's all thanks to Rachel Zegler here. Kind of happens when you are a horrible and terrible human being. So, this movie is failing. It's collapsing under immense scrutiny here. And as we can tell, that this movie is destined to fail. It's going to fall and crumble before our very eyes. And apparently trigger warnings are now a thing in the UK or what have you, which is sad. Man, really, really sad. We have this here. So we're going to go into Trump's pardons. Now, this is some of the bigger news that's been going on here, right? Because with this news here, what we have is pretty much Trump saying, all right, we're going to have the get-go or the ability to go after the January 6th committee and some of these other people and Fauci because these things are a problem. They were voided. These did not go well, right? So this was corrupted. So it says Trump says Biden's pardons are void and vacant because of autopin. Now, for people that don't know what autopin is, it's pretty much just like it just auto puts your signature, whatever you're doing, stuff, so you don't have to type it out or whatever. That's pretty much autopin is. Sometimes I wish I had autopin because let me tell you, I'm convinced that my signature either gets worse every time I do it, or my handwriting is just so bad that it's just abysmal. All right, so you can find similarities there, but it's not always 100%. So autopin might be fantastic here, but. Nonetheless, it says here, President Trump wrote on social media on Sunday night that he no longer considered valid pardons his predecessor granted to members of the bipartisan House committee that investigated the January 6, 2021 attacks on the Capitol, and a range of other people whom Mr. Trump sees as his political enemies because they were signed using an autopin device. Well, there's a lot more that's going to go into this, by the way. I want to go through a little bit. I want to go through this here, and obviously we're going to go back and, obviously go through this and show you what we're talking about. Says here, there is no power in the Constitution or case law to undo a pardon, but there is no such a pardon signed by autopin. But Mr. Trump's assertion, which embraced a baseless right-wing conspiracy theory, yes, right-wing, let's keep on doing that, theory about former President Joseph R. Biden was a new escalation of his anti-democratic rhetoric. Explicit in his post was Trump's belief that the nation's laws should be whatever he decrees them to be, which that's not what he's saying, but of course that's what ABC is going to say, or New York Times is going to say. And it was a jolting reminder that his appetite for revenge has not been sated. Well, considering the fact that he was attacked and almost executed, yeah, that might be a good reason for him to be angry. But again, if this seems to be the case here, which we have some news saying that, well, Biden had signed it without even being there, all right? He wasn't even president. He was out of the U.S. and it was signed. So if Biden was out of the U.S. and signing this, would that not mean that somebody else might have signed these things in the first place? Like, maybe Lindsey Graham or what have you, or any of these people here that would have signed this to prevent themselves from being arrested. That's a pretty big deal if you ask me. I think at least you're going to use autopin. You should be present when you're using autopin. But if you're not using autopin, you're not even present, that means somebody else could use autopin and just sign it themselves. What is happening here? The pardons the Sleepy Joe Biden gave to the unselected committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by autopin. Mr. Trump wrote in a post on social media on Sunday, in other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. So, yeah. So, we have this here, right? We have this here from the New York Post saying, Biden sources respect key aide may have abused autopin as Trump's far more restrictive signing rules revealed. Says here, a key aide to former President Joe Biden may have exceeded their authority by liberally using an autopin to sign official documents, according to two former White House sources, as President Trump's aide set up far more restrictive rules governing the use of the mechanical device. So, guys, friends of my of this here, does this mean here that as I said that somebody else used the autopin, that Biden was not here, right? So if Biden was not even here, and they are not even here, and they used it, that kind of proves a big problem. That seems like a massive issue with autopin in general, because if people, as I said before, if people can just go out and use autopin whenever they want without having some type of, ability to signature it, then perhaps maybe we shouldn't be using it. Yeah, just a thought. A document with the Post outlines a narrow set of circumstances in which Trump's signature can be affixed to documents. Following controversy this week, kicked off by a Heritage Foundation analysis of Biden's signatures on various records, including last-minute pardons. Oh my. A small group of officials under the Biden and Trump have been delegated to the power to get documents signed robotically. But 82-year-old Biden's perceived cognitive decline sparked debate about whether some sides may have assumed his wishes in his final stretch as commander-in-chief. Continues to go on here. We're going to get rid of this because I don't even know why this is here. One Biden White House source told the Post they suspect that a key aide to then president may have made unilateral determinations on what to auto-sign. The Post is not publishing that staffer's name due to the lack of concrete evidence and refutations by the other colleagues. The Biden aide, who did not respond to requests for comment, would frequently make mention of what the boss wanted, the source said. But compatriots would have no idea if it was true because the internal culture was not to ask questions. That's interesting. I fear no one as much as I fear that staffer. To me, the staffer basically was the president. This person said, no one ever questioned the staffer, period. So what we're reading here is that the staffer or the person that was here did the auto pen themselves. They took it and they auto penned everything. So that's crazy. What we have here says everyone was suspicious of this individual exceeding their authority when claiming to speak for the president, the source said, but no one would actually say it. I think the aide was using the auto pen as standard and past protocol. There is no clarity on who actually approved that, POTUS or the aide. So I started to say here, a second White House source agreed that the person was suspected of assuming the then president's possessions and handing down orders without it being clear if they actually had communicated with him. Several other former officials, including those in the past, have offered unvarnished assessments of what they view as the shortcomings of the ex-president and his core staff, described the allegation as absurd and said they never saw the person abuse their authority. So we have conflicting things here. Now, either the person just went out and did it, or they didn't, and we need to go find that out, right? So, one of the skeptics noted that Biden frequently would demand to see the most mundane statements put out by the press office during their tenure early in this term of office, with another calling the entire story BS and adding that it was embarrassing for Trump and his allies to be making it an issue. Attorney Mac Davis, a prominent outside advisor to Trump and his team, told the Post that the particular circumstances of auto pen use matter. Nothing that is common practice in Washington for politicians to delegate auto signatures to aides. If they're carrying out the president's will, it doesn't seem like an issue. If they're not carrying out the president's will, it's a huge issue. It's criminal, Davis said, listing forgery, obstruction of justice, and fraud as potential charges. Yeah, so that's a huge problem. Now, in my opinion, let me put this out here first, right, guys? I think that auto pen may be convenient and good in certain circumstances, right? Where you're auto pinning and stuff like that, and you're in a completely different place, and things need to be done or what have you, and you just have your aides auto pin your signature, and you're good to go with confirmation for the president. But here's a problem here. Say, for instance, you use auto pin, and you're letting out a child predator or whatever, and you're pardoning him. And the staffer did this without talking to the president or what have you. That's a massive problem. And that's kind of worse than, having the luxury of being in another place and, auto penning it just to get from the president's rule. I think that auto pen should not be used. I think that auto pen should not. I think that the president should be present to sign all this stuff when he gets back or whatever he's doing from his stuff, because obviously this is a huge issue. I mean, you're pretty much signing things that should not be signed or what have you, and that's ridiculous. Because how many things or how many bills were signed that politicians or whatever does not know, and these things are going through, and it didn't actually get read at all, except by a staffer that has no power or whatever to do it. So that's the insane part, right? I don't think auto pen should ever be used. An internal memo drafted Thursday by Trump Staff Secretary William Scharf, who for the past 2 months has publicly described and presented documents to Trump for a signature in the Oval Office, lays out the restrictive current use of the auto pen. We have gone significantly further than the need for express approval, both in this administration and in the first Trump administration, Scharf wrote. Our practice around auto pen usage is far more restrictive than most previous administrations. We do not use the auto pen for documents that exercise the powers of the presidency. So, for example, we do not use the auto pen for executive orders, presidential memoranda, decision memoranda, nominations, and appointment orders or commissions or bills to be signed, he wrote. We do not use the auto pen even for more routine purposes, such as the invitation of foreign leaders to the White House. The president personally signs all of these in the presence of the witnesses. We will occasionally use the auto pen when a single document requires multiple signatures or when multiple copies of a single document require signing, but only after the president has personally signed off and only at his direction. This is actually a very, very, very good way to use it, I think, in my opinion, right? because that means only things that are redundant or have a lot of signage or whatever. It's like, okay, there's a lot of documents here. They're not really super important or what have you. We just need to sign them. We're gonna use AutoPen to sign it or whatever. But the big stuff, the big decision stuff, nominations, etc., even pardons, yeah, we're gonna wait for the president to do that. Well, the president is going to do this because this is too important, above our pay grade to do this. So that makes a lot more sense. What it seems to be here is that Biden made the AutoPen way more liberal in this sense, and he just allowed anybody to do whatever, and that's a massive problem. A memo dated January 8th and also reviewed the post grants Scharf, a White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, authority to use the AutoPen for all monitors. Scharf's deputy and the president's executive debt clerk are allowed to make the call at Schwartz's direction. So I think what it should be here is very simple. Only two things should be. Either remove AutoPen altogether, all right, or you do what President Trump is doing, right? Where you have massive restrictions on how you do it, and you can't do this or that because you need permission from the president, and the president has to be president and be there. And I think make a law for what Trump is doing because it seems way more reasonable than being liberal and then just allowing you to do it. And I don't mean liberal as like a left thing. I mean liberal as more freedom because that way, because you have to have some restrictions. You can't just be signing things and then, just going away. That sounds like a huge problem. It sounds like a huge security risk or whatever. And that I don't think that should be allowed. So either make a law what president has here, which makes sense, or just not make it use of it at all. That's the way I would see it. The White House Director of Correspondence, who manages lower stakes public communications, such as congratulatory messages to Americans on significant life milestones, such as birthdays, is also allowed to use the AutoPen for standardized policy materials after clearance by Schwartz and for presidential messages in accordance with Pacific Direction, according to the January memo. AutoPens have been used regularly by presidents since the 1960s and became well known to the public under Lyndon Johnson, which is the worst president imaginable. So perhaps if it was created by Lyndon Johnson, under Lyndon Johnson, perhaps we probably shouldn't do that, right? I mean, this was the same guy that was against giving black people rights and freedoms and stuff like that. So perhaps we shouldn't, go by this guy's precedent here, right? They are commonly used for letters to children and similar trivial matters, but the applications have expanded over the years, with President Barack Obama using AutoPen to sign major legislation, and including an important spending bill in 2013. Yeah, that's dumb. I think the children and trivial matters is perfect, A-OK. Other stuff, not so much. So, that's what's been going on here, and I think this is an issue in regard. So these guys are in trouble. These people are in trouble here, and they should be because they need to be held accountable for their actions. Okay, again, we have this here. President Trump declares Biden's last-minute pardons before leaving office are void due to the alleged use of AutoPen. Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. Biden's pardons included his family members, Dr. Fauci, General Mark Miley, and January 6th committee. And this is what Trump had to say about this. He says, the pardons that Sleepy Joe gave to the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by AutoPen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the Unselect Committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they were subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is, they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge of or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, Crooked Joe Biden, as I predicted as well. Now, me and Trump are pretty much saying here that we don't know if the crooked people did this, but it's a strong possibility. And that being said, if Joe Biden did not even know about this, then yeah, it's a huge problem. It's a crime, and that's just more crime labeled onto the people that actually did this, right? So there we go. So here we go with this. We have the FBI investigating rise in swatting incidents after several conservative targeted, Kash Patel says. Says FBI Director Kash Patel on Friday revealed that the agency is investigating a recent spike in swatting incidents after several conservative media figures that they were targeted. I want to address the alarming rise in swatting incidents targeting media figures. Patel wrote Friday morning on the social media, the FBI is aware of this dangerous trend, and my team and I are already taking action to investigate and hold those responsible accountable. The director stressed this isn't about politics. Weaponized law enforcement against any American is not any more really reprehensible, but also endangers lives, including those of our officers. Now, I'm assuming everybody knows what swatting is, but let me just, kind of inform you. Well, it tells you here, swatting is when a person attempts to send armed law enforcement to another person's house, or a fake incident which has led to deadly consequences in the past. Yeah, there was a man that was killed by this, by a SWAT. Pretty much swatting is essentially, it's pretty much trying to get a person killed, right? That's pretty much what it is. It's in the hopes of getting somebody killed or injured or what have you, because that's all there is. That's all there is to it. And there's various swatting call on Major Terry Green, and a few other people. So it's been getting crazy. So the Democrats are really going insane here, and that's the only other way that I could probably say this, because we're crazy. Now, we're going to do the final part of this stream, right? The final part, we're getting to the final part here. Says, judge demands to know why Trump administration ignored order about redirecting deportation flights. Now, what we have here is that a federal judge admonished the Justice Department Monday for disobeying his order to turn around 2 planes en route to El Salvador that were carrying alleged Tren de Agua gang members. He also demanded explanations about removal of flights ordered since President Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act Saturday. So, yeah, there is a judge that is wanting to cancel the flights that has TDA there, which is Tren de Agua, so to come back to the U.S., even though it's in mid-flight, because these people, for whatever reason. This is what we're doing here, and it's crazy. During a hearing on the Trump administration's compliance with this order, the D.C. District Chief Judge James Boasberg demanded answers by Tuesday at noon to clarify what occurred Saturday. Both before and after he blocked the government's removal of flights, he asked the government whether additional planes have left the U.S. with Tren de Agua gang members, and he wants a timeline showing when the flights took off from the U.S. and landed in El Salvador, and a court of remaining members of the gang in the U.S. custody. Boasberg also demanded detailed timing when President Trump's order invoking the Alien Enemies Act was signed and it went into effect. The 1798 Act is a wartime authority allowing the president to deport or to detain and deport citizens. Mr. Trump is utilizing the act to detain and deport all Venezuelan migrants 14 years of age and older who are suspected of being members of the Tren de Agua gang. Goes on to say here, a Justice Department attorney argued that the justice did not put his order demanding the planes to return to the U.S. in writing. The government was not bound by it, but he added that even if the order had been written, the president had the authority to keep the flights en route to their final destination. You're telling me your first argument is when I said those things because I didn't say in a minute order that the planes didn't have to turn around, you didn't have to comply, Boasberg said. You're saying that you felt you could disregard it because it wasn't a written order. Well, yes. That's pretty much what Trump can do. And I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to go on here, why this is absurd, why this is stupid, and why this judge has absolutely no power. Okay, so we have the attorney did not provide details about how the deportation flights left Saturday, claiming that there were operational issues, preventing him from answering when Judge Boasberg mentioned the 2 flights that departed Texas at 5:26 p.m. and 5:45 p.m. local time. The attorney said that he was not at liberty to provide information about the flights. It sparked intense back and forth between Judge Boasberg and the government over whether or not it was asserting the flight information was classified. Well, regardless of whether it's classified or not, you don't have the power to do so. The Justice Department also argued that because the planes were over international waters and airspace by the time the judge ordered them to turn around, the Boasberg no longer had jurisdiction over the migrants. Well, he doesn't, and he won't ever have jurisdiction over the migrants because it's an executive branch issue. So, sucks to be you. The judge responded that his order applied to the planes regardless of whether they were in the air. So, it says here, the Trump administration said the 2 planes had left before the judge made this decision, and a 3rd plane left El Salvador shortly afterwards, though details about the passengers on that plane are unclear. Despite Bush's ruling, 261 people were deported to El Salvador Saturday, 137 of whom were removed from under the Aliens Enemies Act over alleged gang ties, a senior administration official said. The judge's ruling responded to a federal civil lawsuit against Mr. Trump and other administration officials filed by Saturday by 5 Venezuelan men in immigration custody in Texas and New York local jails. Unfortunately for you, Mr. Boisberg, that's not going to happen, all right? So it says here, from Caroline Levitt, says, Saturday night that the written order and administration actions do not conflict, and said a single judge in a single state cannot direct the movements of aircraft carrying foreign alien terrorists who were physically expelled from the U.S. soil. So, she's right, and we're going to go into this. Now, guys, we have this here. Now, this is by USA.gov, or what have you, and we see this here. I'm showing you this right now. I will zoom in so you guys get to see. So, what we have here is, this is the 3 branches of U.S. government, Constitution, provided of separation of powers. We have 3 separation of powers, obviously, for these reasons. So, we have judicial here, which is interprets laws, Supreme Court, and other federal courts. We have executive, carries out laws, which is president, vice president, and the cabinet. And you have legislative law, makes laws, Congress, Senate, and House of Representatives. So, that being said here, here's the judicial branch of what we have. So, if we do this here, right, and we just say judicial branch, federal, and U.S. Supreme Court, and all federal courts, and interpret laws, and then state high court, and all state courts. So, are we seeing something here, guys? Are we seeing here? This is the federal. And then we have here, or even this is better here. The U.S. Supreme Court, federal and national laws, U.S. Courts of Appeal and U.S. Courts of Justice, state laws, and various state courts, county and local, various laws, et cetera, right? So, again, we have layers for the actual reason. It's not like we don't, if this is not going on here, right? So, when you have all these things here, and you have courts of appeal, et cetera, and lower courts do not at lowest level in the federal system, 94 judicial searches in 50 states and territories, no appellate jurisdiction or regional judges over the most cases. So again, what we're seeing here is that we have a certain branch, right? And all these things here is higher than the other. So the executive branch is higher than the judicial court. The judicial court is the lowest one. This is the Supreme Court and other federal courts. Notice it says here, other federal courts. Then you have the executive, which is president, vice president, and the cabinet. And then you have the legislative, which is the Congress, Senate, and representatives. So, lower court, second highest court, third highest court. So, that being said, executive answers to legislative, and judicial answers to executive, which means judicial cannot overpower executive. So, this judge has no power whatsoever here to demand anything of the federal of the executive branch at all, because it's the executive branch. You are a federal judge. You have no ability to block or do anything. When these judges are going out and blocking things, they have no ability to do so because they're of a lower court. We have 3 branches of government to begin with. People have to listen to these. We have to follow these rules because this is how our country and our government is structured. So whenever we see these judges saying, "Oh, you can't do this, Trump," you say, "No, I don't have to listen to you. I'm a higher executive power. I have higher levels of power to this. I'm going to do what I want." They don't have to listen to you because they are a lower level. Now, if you have people like the Congress saying, no, you can't do this, well, then the executive has to answer to the legislative, right? But that's not happening here. That's not happening here. It is a judicial branch trying to give command to executive branch which they have no powers over. That's insane. That's like executive saying, I want to I want to override the legislative. That's not how that works. So, again, they're lying, they're doing stupid stuff, and it is insane, right? So, again, these judges are overstepping their bounds, overstepping their powers, and they need to stop. It's insane that they're doing it, and You really hate to see it. All right, guys. That's it for the stream. That's it for this whole debacle here. Love to see you guys here. And I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow with some more other news. So, yeah.